Tonight, Attorney General Dominic Ayine faces explosive allegation from former Attorney General Godfred Yeboah Dame that he masterminded the rearrest and torture of former Buffer Stock Company boss Abdul-Wahab Hanan and his wife less than 24 hours after dropping charges against them. We have details as the whereabouts of Abdul-Wahab Hanan and his wife remain unknown more than 24 hours after his arrest, raising serious concerns over what Godfred Dame describes as unlawful detention by IOCO. Details here on the show, brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies, holy insecticides, spray and coil, enjoy a holy sleep, and also by Shield. Let's bring you this. But you know what? Godfred Yeboah Dame is blaming Abdul-Wahab, blaming the Attorney General Godfred Dominic Ayine for masterminding the rearrest and torture of Abdul-Wahab and his wife. All right, now freed by the court at noon, rearrested by IOCO afternoon, and are allegedly tortured at night. Explosive allegations by former Attorney General and lawyer of former Buffer Stock boss Abdul-Wahab Hanan and his wife against the man in charge of justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, over the continued detention of the couple. The former Buffer Stock boss and his wife were rearrested by IOCO yesterday, shortly after the AG dropped earlier charges against them and other accused persons, citing the emergence of fresh evidence. In a yet-to-be-aired PM Express interview with Evans Mensah on Joy News, lead counsel Godfred Yeboah Dame claims Dr. Ayine is behind the torture and maltreatment of his client, which landed him at the hospital yesterday for treatment. Listen to him.
Former CEO of Buffer Stock. You've recently, in the last 24 hours, almost gone all guns blazing, very unhappy at the treatment he's receiving.
Right.
Why do you think this treatment is, in fact, I have heard you today use words like he's been tortured, he's been harassed.
Right.
Why? Why do you think so?
Because I find it very, very unfortunate, and indeed one that ought not to be condoned in any democracy whatsoever. I'm wondering why we're witnessing this, and it's unhealthy, and we must really reprimand.
So we are now approaching. It's more than 24 hours.
Definitely
now.
more than 24 hours.
And you're saying, as we speak right now, yes, at what 1:54, you
yes,
still don't have access to your client.
Access to the client, don't know where he is, and I'm informed that yesterday, around 3 p.m., he actually fell ill. He was vomiting, and so I don't know what medical condition precipitated the vomiting.
Was it before the arrest or after the arrest?
In the course of the arrest, after he had been put on arrest. He was put on arrest before 10 o'clock in the morning, because we finished court proceedings around 9:45, and by 9:55 he had been put on arrest. I understand that
he was unwell.
Yes, and he was rushed to the hospital and then brought back. And when he was brought back, the colleague lawyers from here sought to have access to him. They denied, and then they threw him into custody.
But even at the hospital, you didn't have access?
No, we're not even. So they whisked him off to a hospital. They said they would take him to a hospital, but they wouldn't allow the lawyers to follow.
What about family?
Definitely not. I mean, his wife is even there with him. And so that's a serious issue. You find a couple having been arraigned before court on charges. They come to court to answer the charges, to defend themselves as usual. They've always been cooperating. Their passports have been seized from them. Their assets have been frozen. Even the ability to even pay lawyers is even a problem. Essentially, you are even curtailing their right to legal representation, even in that regard. An argument can be made. Be that as it may, some of us volunteered to defend the accused persons. And then, one day, you whisk them off, take them away, throw them into your custody. When their children are there, their young children are there. They have children who are all under the age of 12 years. They are home, they do not know where their parents are. This cannot be fair in any democracy. This torture can take various forms: physical, psychological, mental, and what have you. And I'm saying that even the fact that the prosecution intends to even carry on prosecution by disabling them from having access to their funds to even conduct litigation, whereby the freezing of their assets and all, contrary to the Yoko's own law, itself is even torture of a kind. But anyway,
you can raise it before a judge.
Yes, no doubt. Yes, I agree.
And so what are you doing about, pursuing that?
Yes, so we're going to applications in that regard, and then they discontinued their prosecution. So essentially, there's no case at all before the court. So we see, advise ourselves in that regard.
But the fact that they had, as you say, deny you access to him, deny him access to his lawyer.
Oh, yes.
That obviously is frowned on by our democratic tenets.
Yes, 100%. So we are preparing the relevant applications. If there is a failure to have access to him again today, trust me, by the end of the day, we'll advise ourselves. We will not just subject ourselves to the processes of Yoko. We'll take it up in the court of law.
And they can hold him up until 48 hours without charge.
Yeah, but that cannot be unreasonable. You can never deny him access to his lawyers for even 1 minute. Insofar as his lawyers are concerned, you cannot deny access to his lawyers. And I'm saying that how reasonable it is that a person who is already on bail, subjected to legal process, judicial process, and all, charges are discontinued against him, and then he's thrown off to custody. The proper practice is to withdraw or discontinue such prosecution if you desire, then invite them on fresh allegations and grant them bail. So the fact that you are frustrated, clearly, I see this as a product of frustration of the Attorney General with the prosecution of Hanan. He thought it was going to be a walk in the park. After bastardizing them in the eyes of the public, holding them to ransom, tearing their reputation to shreds, and saying that they have committed stealing and all that. And finding that indeed there's no evidence at all to support the charges, and the prosecution will not be as smooth as he wanted. Decided to withdraw and then resort to extrajudicial harassment. It cannot be possible. Why? I mean, I think that some time ago when I made that comment on your station that there has to be, I think good men in the country will have to wake up. And I was met with a lot of, I had serious backlash. Oh, I'm talking about good men and that kind of thing. But that's what we're witnessing. If indeed we have good men who are actually in charge of the process of law enforcement, we'll not be doing that. I recognize the right of all persons to bail. In fact, I was not even bothered most of the time. In this case, you find Attorney General himself, Deputy Attorney General himself, violating people's rights. Before you file your charges, have a draft charge sheet in my hand. And then you say, pronouncing people guilty.
The Attorney General
is
your colleague.
Yes.
You can call him. Have you tried that?
Yeah, no, I expect him to know better. I mean, I'm not going to call him and beg for rights for an accused person.
No, press your case.
Yes, I pressed the case. The Deputy Attorney General himself was in court yesterday when all this unfolded. And we had a chat about it. I actually told him that I hope we're not going to resort to this tactic that I know some police officers do.
This is the top story. Now let's bring in Justice Abdullah. He's a private legal practitioner. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us. Now, what is the position of the law in terms of how suspects from whom charges have been dropped must be handled? Hello, Justice. Can you hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you clearly. Yes. Did you hear my question?
You. Indeed, I did.
Great.
I did. I was actually responding to it when you came back. So there's no specific regulations regarding how suspects who are rearrested are handled. I have had the trouble to complain several times. And for those of you who would remember the story of Gregory Afoku, you would remember that this was a gentleman who was accused of murdering the NPP regional chairman, I think somewhere in the north. I think that's Paul Afoku's brother. I do not know the details of their relationship. And his case is one stark case, a blot on the entire reputation of our judicial system, because this is a man who was admitted to bail more than, in fact, on countless occasions, was discharged by the court on countless occasions, and at every point in time, he was never let walk out of even the courtroom. At every point in time. He went to the Court of Appeal, went back and forth, and this man was never let out. And coincidentally, my brother, the former Attorney General, was in charge of that whole prosecution. And so today, listening to him today, for me, it comes along with a lot of misfeelings because he superintended over the same conduct, in fact, worst conduct involving Gregory Afoku, all the way until last year, that Afoku was let out of custody.
But clearly, you felt then that it wasn't right, right?
And I still feel the same way. That is still not right. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not condoning it. It is still wrong, and we must put a stop to it. It is the abuse that we see on countless occasions from the state. And I have called on the state to stop this because the state is designed, the machinery of the state is designed to protect the citizen and not to abuse the right of the citizen. And so if the people who are supposed to protect you are the very ones who are targeting you and who are constantly abusing your right, it makes you helpless. You can't even have a breathing space because you do not even know where to go and who to complain to. Because the system that is designed to protect you is a very system that is being used against you. And there's no legislation whatsoever that regulates these forms of abuse that we constantly undergo under the hands of the state. And we have an Attorney General that looks at this and smiles and goes home very happy until he becomes a victim. This is what we have subjected ourselves to over the years. And this is only coming up because these are people within the public space or matters that the public is interested in. At the lower level, individual level, we go through this every single day without the media's being there to report it to the general public. It is a constant abuse that citizens suffer from. But because there are no legislations and there is nowhere that you can seek redress on such matters, there's nothing you can do because the state can file as many charges against you as possible and withdraw them as many times as they wish without anything. But so long as you have not been pronounced, determination have been made on your matter.
But doesn't that infringe on any constitutional or human rights of the person involved?
These are the abuses that we are talking about. Well, unfortunately, it does infringe on these rights. But because our laws have been designed such that until pronouncement have been made on the merit of the case against you, you cannot plead what in law we call ultra force acquit or discharge. These are the rules that have been designed to help you in case the state wants to abuse you up to that level. But they don't wait until you get to that point where you can plead this ultra force. So what they do, just as they've done to this case,
Hanan Abdul-Wahab and his wife,
just as they've done to them, it's the same thing. They will just right in the middle of it, they will just withdraw everything, and you can't do anything. You are just helpless. And right before the same court, they would arrest you, and the judge can't do anything about it because the judge has discharged you. You're supposed to go home, but you cannot step out because once you step out, you'll be rearrested. And you'll be arraigned or rearraigned, if you like, before the same court. These are systemic abuses that citizens of this country continuously to suffer from. If you don't speak up against these abuses, we will continuously suffer from it. We suffered and saw the worst form of it under the former Attorney General. And today, we are seeing a resurrection of the same thing in this case.
But isn't it true that if law enforcement rearrest the accused to face fresh charges, the accused must be promptly processed and restored to the original bail?
Unfortunately, that's not the law. First off, that is not the law. Second, there's no law that even says that they must necessarily bring the same charges as was or as you were undergoing, you were undergoing prosecution. Sometimes they literally bring the very charges that you were charged with earlier. They say the very charges, without any amendment, without anything being changed. Sometimes not even a letter. As we heard on this case, the state simply says that they've discovered new evidence. Literally means that nothing would change. The offenses would be the same. Nothing literally is going to change. It is just the evidence that is going to change. The nature of the evidence is going to change. Even with that, I am sure it is only in relation to the new witness statement that was dismissed. I'm sure that's what we are going to see. So 99% of everything that we saw is going to be the same. 99%, if not more. But this is the kind of abuse you're talking about.
But if that's the case, and your argument is that there are no safeguards within Ghana's legal system to prevent such abuses?
The safeguards are human rights safeguards. But it is difficult to invoke that to your benefit when you are found in this space, or within this space. It's very difficult to invoke that because you are alleged to have committed a crime. You have not been tried or convicted of that crime. In fact, you have not been fully tried, so the merits of the case has not been determined. So if you go crying foul that the state is abusing your rights on the basis of having been rearrested, whether multiple times or the first time or the second time, chances are that you're going to lose because a crime has been committed and you're being prosecuted, investigated and prosecuted on the basis of that. So the state would have this strong defense against you. This is how the system is designed.
Anyways, stay with me. Let me bring in Godfred Yeboah Dame, who is former AG and lawyer for Abdul-Wahab Hanan and his wife. I'm grateful to you for joining us here, Mr. Dame. Now, I heard you tell my colleague Evan Spencer that if by close of day you still don't have access to your client, you'll file the needed processes. What's the update on that?
Well, first and foremost, thank you very much. But let me take the opportunity to correct one false impression that has been bandied about in the media, that worst forms of abuse occurred in the MPP era under me as Attorney General, and that is just the point that was made by is it just Abdullah?
Yes.
That cannot be true. And indeed, everybody, whenever they speak, they cite only one example, Gyasi Fuku. They cite only one example, Gyasi Fuku. Gyasi Fuku was a case of a gruesome murder that the whole nation was afraid about. You compare to a situation like this, where a person has had acid poured on him, murdered under such circumstances, a party chairman in the north, and a person who had been caught with acid on his trousers, and all that. Gyasi Fuku had been arraigned before court. You compare to this situation where they are just really, you can't even find the nature of the offense. The charges have actually not been specified to the accused persons. You cannot cite Gyasi Fuku at all as an example. In any case, it is wrong for people to say that Abdullah should know better. That I was not the initiator of the prosecution in Gyasi Fuku's matter. It was Madam Gloria Kufu as Attorney General. It's as if people have forgotten. They think that throughout the 8 years, the only Attorney General was Godfred Dame. Why?
Well, Mr. Dame,
it cannot be. In any case, no, I think it's very important that I clarify.
I'll let you clarify it, but I just want to ask you a question.
The arrest of Gyasi Fuku was occasioned by the fact that two persons had originally been arraigned before the court for the murder of the Northern Regional Chairman of the MPP, Mr. Mahama. Now, only Gyasi Fuku was brought before the court because the other accused person had fled.
Yeah, but
so the trial had to discontinue when the other accused person was arrested in Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay, sorry, but what we are looking at is the abuse of processes, and the question I want to ask is, did the court grant him bail? And I remember they did. Why did you prevent him from being granted that?
First prosecution against both persons. And I'm saying that you cannot compare the case of gruesome murder to this circumstance. So, and then they also cite the treason trial. The treason trial, the records show that I, as Attorney General, initiated prosecution, agreed to the grant of bail by the court on the very first day. On the very first day, all the accusations were granted bail. You do not find any instance at all, of these trials, as forcing and all the Sagleme and all the other criminal prosecutions that are initiated, a denial of bail right from beginning, all of them on self-recognizance bill. They had access to they had the opportunity to travel in and out of the country and all that. It's a matter of record. You cannot alter public record on the basis of falsehood. No, definitely not. Yes, I'm saying that, yes, at the appropriate time, we'll file the relevant processes. We're still trying to negotiate the release of my client from custody. And the record show that to date, they have been denied bail, they've been denied access to counsel, a basic right as legal representation. I don't know what the state intends to achieve by denying them access to their lawyers. Is it a case where they think that their intention to intimidate and harass them will be impeded by the presence of lawyers? I don't understand.
So as we speak, you've still not had access to...
Definitely not. I have not. And nobody knows where they are. And that's the issue. And I think that the Attorney General of the day should be answering questions. There was never a time that anybody under my stewardship as Attorney General was denied access to counsel. Basic access, basic rights as an accused person. Definitely not.
So when do you intend filing those processes for your client being detained without your presence? Or
definitely. I mean, the court jurisdiction will be invoked latest by tomorrow. No doubt. But I think that it's quite reprehensible. You have access to the Yoko director. You should ask him. The Attorney General, you should ask him. Yes, they are the ones who are always inclined to go in public with their statements of their charges. Have they indicated to you via the same press conference by which they bastardize the same accused persons the kind of evidence that they have? Before he went to court, held a national press conference, beamed live to the whole nation internationally and all that, indicating that they have a watertight case, and he called it Rambo in the Jungle. I don't know what prosecutor does that. Rambo in the Jungle. And now that it's scrambling, he resorts to all these tactics. It is reprehensible, and it ought to be deplored. And you cannot cite Gregory Afoko, a gruesome murder, with that kind of evidence, a person who has had acid on his trial. You can't say that at all. They are two different things. And I think people should stop using Gregory Afoko as a yardstick and saying that because of Gregory Afoko, there was such general treatment of accused persons in the NPP era.
But definitely. Is it your argument that because it was a gruesome murder, that's why when the court granted...
I am saying that a murder is different from, with all respect, if your brother is murdered at the first circumstance, would you agree to the grant of bail? The state has a direct interest in protecting the safety of all persons, and especially persons in the case of treason, when persons are involved in an enterprise to overthrow the organs of government. It's a very serious enterprise.
Well, but the Supreme Court has made all cases
precisely, and that's what I'm saying, that in the case of treason, bail, I agreed to a grant of bail on the very first day, and the bail was granted. Yes, and that's the record. And the former Chief Justice Yeboah would never accede to the accused persons being kept beyond even one day. That they were arrested in the case of the treason trial. They were arrested on a Friday. He assured that we appeared before court on Saturday because he did not want a single violation by a single day of the rights of the accused persons. On Saturday, I was compelled to strap my boots, went to court, leading the state attorneys and ensuring that the persons who had been arraigned before court on the first treason trial in the country since 1963 were granted bail. Okay. And that is what I think ought to be done by this attorney.
I'm grateful to you, Godfred Yeboah Dame, for your time here. He's the former Attorney General. Justice, so you had the former AG there, but more broadly, what does it say about the due process and the balance of power between the Attorney General's office and investigative agencies?
I mean, sadly, it's very disappointing to hear Godfred Dame say this. I mean, that because in Gregory Afoko's case, it was a murder. Even after a court of law had admitted him to bail, he, believing and feeling whatever mood he was in, decided that the person should not be released. I mean, this is the most disappointing comment I would want to hear from him. I really, never expected this to come from him. Coming from anyone else, I may probably let it go. But from him, this can never be coming from a former Attorney General. That because it was a murder, our law does not distinguish between, offenses and how each offense is treated. Second, the law does not distinguish between how one feels particularly as an attorney general, whether a deputy or a substantive attorney general, you do not have the right to change the course of justice simply because you think that it's a murder. Once a court of competent jurisdiction has made a decision, it is your responsibility as an attorney general to ensure that it is implemented, it is fulfilled.
All right.
You do not have that right to say that because it's a murder and because it could have been your brother or could have been your friend.
So what do you expect? What do you expect the current AG to do in this particular case, where the suspects are being held without access to their counsel and family?
Principal position remains one and the same, that all forms of abuses directed at suspects must stop, regardless whether it was so pervasive in the NPP era and is so little in the NDC era. Matters not. It ought not to happen because the state has a responsibility to protect all of us. The state cannot be seen to be an abuser of the processes laid down by law for the protection of the individual.
I'm grateful to you, Justice Abdullah, is private legal practitioner. That's our wrap-up top story here. Up next is Newsnight.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela.
Meba Kojo, I sure why. Tea cash naba. No papa ina dawasi.
Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop.
Hello, sir. Telecel Cash payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones.
We keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
This May, all eyes turn to Ghana's biggest music celebration, the 27th Telecel Ghana Music Awards. The biggest hits, the loudest cheers, the hottest fashion. Performing live, Wendy Shay, Black Sharif, R2Bs, Last Made, Kofi Kenata, Diana Hamilton, PSA Esther, Medical, Samini, Fido, and many more, all on one stage. Saturday, 9th May, Grand Arena inside Accra International Conference Center. 7 p.m. sharp. Limited tickets available for 700 Ghana cedis and 1,000 cedis at Charterhouse. Or dial star 713 star 33 star 00 hash. For more information, call 0501 288520. The 27th Telecel Ghana Music Awards, produced by Charterhouse, refreshed by Guinness, with support from TV3, British Council, Close Up, KPMG, Joy FM, and proudly brought to you by Telecel.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Newsnight. 7 health professionals are being held responsible for the death of 29-year-old engineer Charles Amisa.
And the pathology confirms a slow death from medical neglect and was not from the instant trauma. What it means is that if at any of these facilities there had been medical intervention, Charles Amisa could have survived.
We bring you full details of the report by a 3-member committee that probed the death and interrogate their recommendations. Also tonight, CSOs in last-ditch attempts to save the OSP from its legal troubles as it files hundreds of pages of brief before the Supreme Court. We have details. A bit later, 19-year-old SHS student battles for his life after police bullet allegedly rips through his stomach during a chaotic demolition exercise at Domiambra, Denchira in the South municipality.
He was leaving his house when he encountered police officers who were moving along the street and firing shots.
We have details as the police begins investigations in business.
New Ghana's Scout Service data showed recent developments in Burkina Faso impacted badly on prices of tomatoes for last month.
In sports,
15 players received debut call-ups for Black Stars friendly against Mexico later this month.
Also in the bulletin, multiple cheating recorded across examination centers in ongoing BEC exams as Ministry of Education warns of severe punishment for both teachers and students involved.
We expect supervisors and invigilators to do their work well so that students cannot get the chance to involve themselves in any form of collusion.
The latest of these and many other stories are coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi, details shortly. Good evening. A three-member committee probing the death of 29-year-old engineer Charles Amisa in the no-bed syndrome says 4 doctors and 3 nurses breached professional conduct by failing to attend to him while he was in a life-threatening condition, and that failure directly caused his avoidable death. Presenting the findings to the health minister, committee chairman and renowned pathologist Professor Ajiman Akosa said the officers failed to exercise basic ethical and professional judgment as Emisa was moved between 3 hospitals. The report also found that ambulance personnel lacked basic life-saving skills and were unable to control the bleeding.
At time T 000022.32, this was the incident scene. The ambulance got to the accident site. From there, 11 minutes, 22.43, they arrived at police hospital. This was the first point of contact with a former hospital system. So arrival of police hospital, and from there, they were moved on to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. They arrived 26 minutes later at 22:58 to Greater Accra Regional Hospital. And again, at Greater Accra Regional Hospital, they were moved on to Kolebu Teaching Hospital. 48 minutes later, at 23:20, they arrived at Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And in all this, patient was alive. Again, Kolebu Hospital, there was no joy. In fact, he was moved on to go to UGMC, but the ambulance crew refused to move. And at 0030, 118 minutes later, patient was pronounced dead. And the pathology confirms a slow death from medical neglect and was not from the instant trauma. What it means is that if at any of these facilities there had been medical intervention, Charles Amisa could have survived.
Michael Ashale is joining me in studio with more on this disturbing story. And Michael, we had the chairman of that committee that was set up to investigate what killed the man, Professor Ajiman Akosa, make those recommendations. He also spoke specifically about ambulance in all of this. What did he say?
So it spoke broadly about the entire ambulance architecture, especially that was used in that particular night that Emisa's life was lost. He first spoke about the equipment that was in that particular ambulance that was carting Emisa around some of these. So it says that that particular ambulance was not properly fitted with some key and critical equipment to help at least in stabilizing him. And secondly, as well, in their findings, they realized that the personnel themselves were not fully equipped technically to handle the Emisa Atta, and that in their opinion, if they had administered some level of technically they call that a triage, and I'm sure that when the medical experts join us, they will help us understand that if they had administered a triage, then they could have possibly extended the life of Emisa for any other health facility to actually also take care of them. In their opinion, the ambulance service used that night did not live up to expectations. We can listen to him.
Death of Charles Emisa could have been avoided by medical intervention at the police hospital, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, or Kolebu Teaching Hospital. If the ambulance crew had applied compression on the laceration and packed the deep wound prior to transportation, they could have stopped the bleeding. They could also have administered intravenous fluids in the ambulance whilst moving. That would have restored the blood volume. And if in the hospitals they had either given intravenous fluids or whole blood, either in police, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, or Kolebu Teaching Hospital, they would have maintained life.
And present to receive the recommendation was the Sector Minister Kobna Minta Kanda, who has directed the Nurses and Midwives Council, the Medical and Dental Council, as well as the various hospital management and regulatory bodies to take immediate disciplinary action against the named health workers. Listen to him.
Just to assure you that the details of the report, especially the recommendations, will be implemented to the letter. The most important aspect is for us to be able to avoid the avoidable deaths we have witnessed. And therefore, without wasting much time, I want to accordingly direct my Chief Director, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Health, to write to the following people, the following health professionals, and their hospitals, and their regulators, that disciplinary actions be taken against them. 1, Dr. Anne-Marie Kojo should be referred to the police hospital and the Medical and Dental Council with immediate effect. Dr. Nina Naomi Iram, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, and the Medical and Dental Council. Dr. Ida Drant be referred to Kolebu Teaching Hospital and the Medical and Dental Council. I understand some of these facilities have already started disciplinary actions against some of these people, and I'll urge them to expedite action on them, and their respective regulators must also do same. Dr. Genevieve Aja must also be referred to Kolebu Teaching Hospital and Medical and Dental Council. Ms. Akosia B. Texan must be referred to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital and then NMC. Ms. Joy Daisy Nelson, Kolebu Teaching Hospital and NMC. Ms. Salamatu Ahasan Bedu must also be referred to Kolebu Teaching Hospital and NMC.
That's the Health Minister, Kobna Minta Akando there. Let's go on to Zoom right now and speak to Dr. Kwame Asiedu Sapon. He is a CDD fellow in public health. Dr. Sapon, welcome to the program. This is an issue that became a very topical one in the country. In fact, we heard about 3 hours talk, you and I, including the Deputy Health Minister, on this particular subject. Now the results are out. It says that he died of exsanguination, which is excessive loss of blood. Surely this was preventable.
Well, yes, good evening, Kenneth, and thanks for reminding me that I was in the studio to discuss this. And if your memory serves you right, I made a statement then that I didn't want to preempt the findings, but my gut feeling was that this was a systems failure. And if you read the report like I've read it, you realize that the system failed from end to end, leading to the death. And what saddens me was the fact that Professor Akosa says it was a slow death. Because right from the time the patient was picked up, the system didn't have the capability to keep him alive. If you read the report, it says that basic life support and acute life support skills were not available in the ambulance. They didn't have the equipment to allow them to even do some of the things that would save the patient. So even the crew in the ambulance were constrained. And some of us have been saying way back since 2021 that we set up an ambulance system that basically could do scoop and deliver. And the report has confirmed that that was all the, technicians were capable of doing. No fault of theirs. They didn't have the tools and they didn't have the expertise. Now they get to the first hospital and we are hearing that, health professionals have been referred for neglect. What I want to see is at these hospitals, what were the processes in place for these health professionals to deal with such an emergency? What are the standard operating procedures? Are they available? Did they act within or without the standard operating procedures? Because it beggars believe that 4 hospitals would have the same systemic failure. I should tell you that there's something fundamentally wrong with the emergency care system end to end. And this was what I was saying when we had a 3-hour discussion. For me, the good thing is that the minister is saying that the recommendations would be implemented to the latter. Because if they are, then all the identified kinks and failure points would be addressed. And if they are addressed, that would prevent this from happening again. And for me, that is the story in the report, that there are so many points at which our emergency care system fails. And one thing, Kenneth, you have to bear in mind is that this is Greater Accra, the capital and capital region. Just play your mind back to the hinterlands of the country and ask yourself that if even emergency teams in the capital failed someone so woefully, what would happen if something like this happened to you in the hinterland? And that is, for me, the bigger question we need to ask ourselves.
A bigger question indeed. I'm looking at the time lapse of how it all unfolded. It was part of the projections they made. That is 118 minutes time between when the incident first happened until he unfortunately passed away. But let's look at the recommendations, though. The various health officers who were in charge have been referred to their various disciplinary committees for action. Is that enough, you say?
Well, I think that is just one of the recommendations. Like I said earlier, for me, the bigger story is for the report to be implemented in full and for all the failure points in the system to be addressed. Yes, I can see why the health professionals have been referred to the disciplinary committee, because as health professionals, we all swear to save lives. So if your actions or inactions inadvertently lead to someone unfortunately losing their life under such circumstances, you're talking 118 minutes, is 2 minutes shy of 2 hours. That's a very long time in health. Then obviously your practice should be subject to what we call the Bolam rule, which is simply, is that what a competent health professional under the circumstances you found yourself would have done? And that is what it's a rule that we are all subject to if we are perceived to have been to have acted negligently. So that I would leave to the regulators and the disciplinary committees to deal with. But the evidence of the report would be key in establishing whether that is the case. But more importantly, even when there's negligence, is it deliberate negligence or systemic negligence? Because if there weren't standard operating procedures which bound these health professionals to act in a particular way, that in itself would also be concerning, because that would further show a systemic breakdown at the institutional level in all the 4 hospitals. And for me, those are other things that we need to look into moving forward.
Dr. Kwame Asiedu-Sapon, thank you very much. Michelle Latte is our reporter on the ground. She's been at the Health Ministry all day, touring some centres with the sector minister. Michelle, where have you got into? What can you tell us?
So Ken, we have been to Bama Camp to assess, the minister has been assessing the Ghana Armed Forces Critical Care and Emergency Hospital, which also came up within the recommendations that were provided by the committee. He's been assessing the facility to see how well it can be integrated into the National Emergency and Critical Care system. They've also been to the Ridge Hospital, that's the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, and there they've been looking at the National Integrated Bed Management System and the referral systems. We went to the National Command Center there, where there's a piloting of the whole referral system we want to see to address this persistent no bed syndrome. You know that the referral system is more like a digital platform that is meant to track the available beds in the various hospitals. This particular system is looking at district hospitals for the pilots. They are doing real-time tracking of the available beds in these hospitals. So we went there, we were able to see firsthand what it exactly looks like to track these beds at the various hospitals. So we're able to see the pilots of that. They are looking forward to having an official launch of the entire system later this month.
Michelle Latte, thank you very much. Dr. Matilda Emisa is the sister of the late Charles Emisa. She's been speaking to me on the pulse since the release of the recommendation. Listen.
It's just like a bruise again, but we are grateful. Mixed feelings. We express our sincere gratitude to the committee that conducted the investigation. We appreciate their professionalism, their commitment and dedication throughout the process in pursuit for accountability. We also express our profound appreciation to the Ministry of Health. Right. They have done an excellent job at finding the cause of death. We are very grateful for the attention given to this matter. And as a family, we have turned pain into purpose, and we are going all out in honor of Charles Emisa. And in memory of the circumstances surrounding his death, we have set up the Charles Emisa Emergency Care Foundation in memory of him. And our aim is to help to end the emergency care crisis in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the conclusion that the committee gave. They said that the medical staff on duty at the police hospital, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, and the Kolebu Teaching Hospital failed to attend to Charles Emisa when he was in a life-threatening condition, and this led to his avoidable death. Let's look at the recommendations. They have recommended that Dr. Anne-Marie should be referred to police hospital for disciplinary action against her for breach of professional duty to Charles Emisa and for being untruthful to the committee. Dr. Nina Naomi Aram should be referred to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital for disciplinary action against her for breach of professional duty to Charles Emisa, Miss Salamatu Al-Hassan Aidu, should be referred to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for disciplinary action against her for breach of professional duty to Charles Emisa. Are you satisfied with these recommendations?
So according to our code of conduct, exactly what the minister had said is what they're supposed to do.
May the soul of Charles Emisa rest in peace, and may his memory be a blessing. Away from that, 14 civil society organizations are making a last-ditch attempt to save the Office of the Special Prosecutor from its legal troubles as they apply to file hundreds of pages of brief before the Supreme Court. Private legal practitioner Noah Adamte is asking the Apex Court to strike down parts of the OSP Act as unconstitutional, arguing the Parliament does not have the power to compel the AG in an act to authorize the OSP to prosecute certain offences. Member of our Legal Affairs desk here at Joy News, Kweku Asante, is joining me in studio with some more details. Kweku, what are we learning about these efforts led by the 14 CSOs?
Well, as we now know, they have filed an application to the Supreme Court to file what is called an amicus brief, to be a friend of the court, to provide some legal opinion, some legal arguments to help the Supreme Court in coming to a decision on whether or not this particular action that has been filed by Noah Adamte, which will ultimately render the prosecution arm of the OSP moribund, should continue, should be upheld or not. And we know that some of the top CSOs in Ghana have done so. In fact, we have seen part of the application. The affidavit to that has been deposed to by the respected Professor Kwesi Prempe of CDD, together with this group of CSOs. They are led by a team of 4 lawyers: Kizzy Tobeyo, Samson Ladi Agenini Bakavomawo, Clement Kojo Akapam. So they are really going hard in filing this and asking the Supreme Court to actually look on the arguments they are making on favor. And if the Supreme Court finds favor, it will give them some time to file those arguments, and then a decision will be taken on that.
So why is this important, especially since the OSP is not a party to the action before the Supreme Court?
Well, good point, because the OSP did apply to join these suits, and the Supreme Court decision was that the OSP was not a necessary party to determine this matter. So what is happening is that Noah Adamte's argument in court, in fact, the AG mirrors almost the same argument. So 2 parties that are supposed to be at opposing ends of this legal battle taking such a similar position in court, which has meant that perhaps the view of so many people is that the Supreme Court will be left without the kind of opinion that will help them to be able to distill some of the legal arguments that are coming in from this argument. So the OSP and the CSOs, I should say, actually filing this contrary argument and insisting that, in their view, the views that have been canvassed by both the plaintiff in this matter and the Attorney General, which will ultimately strip the OSP of its prosecutorial powers, is something that the court should not be acquiescing. So that is why this is so crucial.
And where will this case be heard?
We understand on the 19th of May, the Supreme Court will hear this particular application that has been filed by these 14 CSOs, and the court will decide whether or not they will accept the amicus brief that is being filed by these CSOs. If they do accept it, like I mentioned, they will ask them to file it within a certain period. The court, if they're so minded, may allow for some oral hearings of sort to hear from all the parties, particularly the AG and the plaintiff in this matter, and we expect some judgment to come in very soon.
Kweku Asante, thank you very much. Meanwhile, Imani Africa, which is part of the 14 CSOs making this application before the court, says the CSOs are fighting to restore the country's fight against corruption. Kojo is a fellow at Imani Africa.
And the Supreme Court case basically challenges whether parts of the OSP Act allowing independent prosecution are constitutional. That was filed by Noah Adamte. But our concerns arose because the plaintiff, that is Noah Adamte, and the Attorney General appeared aligned on major aspects of the challenge. And as civil society groups, including Imani Africa, we applied to join as amicus curiae to provide an alternative constitutional and public interest perspective.
That's Kojo. He is with Imani Africa. Noah Adamte is a private legal practitioner. He's joining me on the telephone lines for more on this. Noah, welcome to the program. I want to pick your immediate reaction to this application by the 14 CSOs.
Yeah, good evening to you and then your cherished listeners. So I think the application was anticipated because these CSOs had already raised issues about the fact that the Attorney General seems to agree with the position that I took in my statement of case, even though that is not really the case, but that has been the view they had canvassed. So I think it's a welcome position taken by the CSOs. We are just hoping that the state of case they want to present to the court would contribute to the resolution of the matter and ensure that the court arrives at the more just and the more reasonable conclusion. So it's welcome. It's welcome.
As a plaintiff to this case, while your action is pending, the crucial work of the OSP as they relate to prosecutions has all but come to a halt. Are you considering applying for the Supreme Court to expedite a decision on this?
No, so this is one of the cases I think the Supreme Court has actually handled in a very expedited manner because since the AG filed their statement of case, the Supreme Court has already fixed a date to hear the entire case, and then the CSOs brought this motion. So I am very certain on the day the Supreme Court hears this motion, the Supreme Court may just adjourn the entire matter for judgment and then come out with its decision. So it's a very expedited manner if you look at how cases delay or the length of cases within the court system. So I think this is very expedited.
Noah Adamte, thank you very much. He's a plaintiff to this case. Two other stories this evening. Pressure is mounting on President John Mahama to dismiss the Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Oklu over controversial comments suggesting that airing public officers could be transferred to Northern Ghana as punishment. The remarks made during a public engagement have triggered strong backlash, particularly from the MPP's Northern Caucus in Parliament, who described the comments as deeply offensive, discriminatory, and reinforcing negative stereotypes about the northern regions. In a statement, the caucus insists the minister's comments are unacceptable and undermine national cohesion, demanding her immediate dismissal. They argue that portraying the North as a place of punishment is demeaning to residents and public servants working in those regions. Kweku Asante, who is our resident correspondent in Parliament, is back in the studio with me to speak about this. Kweku, what exactly are the MPP minority caucus in the northern region demanding? How strong is their language on this matter?
In fact, Ken, they are not mincing words at all. In fact, if you look at paragraph 2 of this statement signed by Habib Idrisu, he is the chairman of the caucus of MPs in the northern region on the minority side, I should say, and also the deputy whip. He says that the statement is not only insulting to every hardworking public servant in the north, but a direct assault on the dignity of an entire people who have contributed immensely to the stability, development, and democratic credentials of this nation. These comments are not a slip of tongue. They are a window into a rotten, elitist, and deeply offensive mindset. In fact, it's a 3-page statement going on and on. They say that the statement is entirely unacceptable, unforgivable, and regrettable. And they are way past apologies. An apology will not suffice. It will not undo the image that she has projected in the eyes of so many non-northerners and other people, that the northern region is a place of punishment sent in this country. And if the minister genuinely believes that serving the north is a punishment, then the only person who should be transferred is her out of public service and into compulsory course on Ghanaian geography. Therefore, we are not merely calling for an apology. We are calling for her immediate honorable resignation. She owes the North that much, and if she lacks the decency to resign, then the president must sack her with immediate effect. Habib Idrisu there.
Kweku Asante, thank you very much. We have him on the line, Habib Idrisu, who is the first deputy minority whip. Welcome to the program. We've heard your statement at length, but really, what happens if the president does not dismiss her? What will the minority do?
Yeah, at the moment, we are very convinced that the president will do the honorable thing, considering the statement that the minister made. It's rather unfortunate that a minister would think little of other part of the country. to suggest that we, those from the northern region or the northern region, doesn't deserve the best in terms of high-class workers to be able to help the region. Mind you, this is not the first time that a minister made such a statement. If you quite remember, in 2017, the then Deputy Minister for Agri, when there was an armworm infection in the northern region, made a statement to the effect that he suggested that northerners are difficult. Then and there was actually a statement like this, and then President Akufo-Addo asked the minister to resign, of which the minister resigned. A minister thinking that punishment or sending workers to the northern region who have done illegal things will be sent there as a form of a punishment. It is something that is unacceptable, it is regrettable, and it is unforgiving. We are not only asking for an apology. Like we rightly stated, the minister should do the honorable thing and resign herself if she actually thinks that she has some kind of respect for the good people of northern region. So we are calling that the minister should resign first. If he's not resigning, the president should actually sack. Northern region, we are made up of 5 regions. We have the northern region, the northeast region, we have the savannah, we have the upper east and upper west, about 57 constituencies. We are people who have always abide and contributed our quota to the development of this country. And for a minister of state to think that sending people to work in the northern region is a punishment. Many have argued that that is the reason why we still have a gap between the north and south development. And if we want to build a positive attitude in order to bridge this, we don't need people like the Greater Accra Regional Minister to continue to be a minister for certain to be realized. So we think that her statement is rather unfortunate. Her statement is regrettable. Her statement actually have gone beyond an apology, and the minister needs to resign as soon as possible.
Mr. Habib, I want to read portion of her apology letter to you. She says that without reservation that the comments captured in the video were genuine slip in communication and do not reflect my considered views, nor do they represent the established policies and procedures governing staff postings within the public service. She says it was a slip. Not enough?
Yes, that statement is an afterthought. The statement is an afterthought. The interview that she granted to Joy FM, that is her mindset. That is how she think about the northern region, and that's how she think about the northern people, and that is how she think about people who are, in her own words, doing illegal things are actually sent to the northern region for punishment. Her statement is just an afterthought. If anybody is going to always ministers to make statement and then come to say that I am sorry doesn't solve the problem. I am sorry doesn't erase the image that she has created about the northern region to the people. And whatever she has said, breach the code of conduct of the president himself. So if the president has appointed you as a minister, is able to give you an instruction on a code of conduct, you have violated the code of conduct, why should you still be in office?
Thank you very much, Habib Idrisu. He is the first Deputy Minority Chief Whip in Parliament and also the MP for Tolon. Let's bring you some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. This one from John Boa. He says that if someone is told that they will be punished by being transferred to the northern region, it is just to tell the person that he or she will be sent to a faraway place. I do not think this is an insult. Nana Ekwiyamwa Boatin from Ablekuma Central says he sent a very lengthy letter here. He says this government should focus on the real issues affecting the lives of Ghanaians and stop playing politics with human life. There are many Agenda 111 hospitals, but because of politics, they have been left to rot. From the committee report, even though some of the health workers acted unprofessionally, the real issue is the need to address the no-bed syndrome. There. Francis from Accra says, hearing the report, in fact, Ghanaians are devastated by the account, as it is not because of no bed. That is why Mr. Emisa died. How could doctors we use our taxes to train do this to a citizen, but can go on a demonstration for salary increase and be fighting medical laboratory scientists for going into lab at Kolebu? Very soon we will hear MPP and its agents coming to the defense of these doctors captured by their acts of negligence. Nana from Spintex Road says, AMPP, were we not in this country when they engineered Oliver Barker-Vormawor being moved around cells in Accra without charges? The former AG is now fighting for one of their own. Interesting. T Smart from Amasaman says this Dame guy is annoying. The complaint is about abuse of rights, whether it is murder or what have you. He should know better. As we speak, has any court found Afoko guilty? He should be more mature than this. Those are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. We'll be reading the rest to you in due course. Now, let's do business.
Well, Kenneth, coming up in business, new Ghana Gulf Service data showed that recent developments in Burkina Faso impacted badly on prices of tomatoes for last month. And Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama looks to fintechs to help improve credit to businesses and startups across the country. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials.
Charlie, trim am nice. I get some serious meeting. Allah, motion. But Charlie, no credit today. Oh, but you relax. Momo day.
Hey, what funny.
Yes, so I borrow small, sort myself out, I pay back. We move. Spoil there. Ah, Charlie, you sure say you dey pay back? Yes, so that anytime somebody else they need them, Momo day. Be like I for can't borrow some more. Hey, you this boy. Don't go there and disgrace yourself. Allah, motion.
Responsible borrowing be the real flexo for today's needs and tomorrow's dreams. Borrow, sort them, pay back. Momo Day.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office,
Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became number 1. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Hello CEOs, Ghana's foremost business platform marks 10 years of leadership impact. Join the 10th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo on Thursday, 28th May 2026 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Kempinski Hotel Accra. The summit is themed accelerating Ghana's economic transformation, driving bold reforms through leadership, technology, and industrialization. Tagline: from vision to action. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, will attend as special guest of honor and officially launch the CEO Government Compact 2026. Highlights include presidential CEO dialogue, masterclasses, panels, brand expo, CEO profiles, networking, and the Ghana CEO Excellence Gala. Registered now at GhanaCEOSummit.com. Call 054-639-1970 or email info@GhanaCEOSummit.com. Powered by CEO Network Ghana in partnership with Deloitte, PwC, EY, GIPC, SIGA, University of Ghana, Media General, and the Multimedia Group. The 10th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo, a decade of leadership impact. T&C supply.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, tough, hey, strong. Oh, Ghana shout, sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start.
Sasso, c'est comme un tonton précon. Sasso, c'est comme un tonton précon. Edrana drumming ya buseshe. Yeah, how can see any malaria? Minya me kone me sasso spray. Every mosquito start to run away. Come on, tonton précon. Sasso, mi se come tonton précon. Come on, tonton précon. Sasso, come tonton précon. Nani shamne die demo strongko.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the recent export ban of tomatoes and attack on traders in Burkina Faso did result in some huge spike on prices of tomatoes in Ghana. Now, that's according to a new data coming from the Ghana at Scale Service. The data showed the development resulted in more than 30% spike in the prices of tomatoes for the month of April. Dr. Lathana Dusu is government statistician.
Now look at month on month, which is the orange bar for fresh tomatoes. So month on month, inflation for fresh tomatoes was 34.3%. What does this mean? It means that between March 2026 and April 2026, the price of fresh tomatoes increased by 34.3%. And this could be attributed partly or largely to the supply disruptions we observed because of the ban on tomatoes. So here, the story is very clear. Over the year, prices increased slightly, but in the short term, they've jumped sharply due to supply shocks.
And that is government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu. Now, in a related development, the spike in inflation rate for the month of April, that is this year, to 3.4% was driven by several factors. This includes the increase in prices of some food items and non-food. Isaac Atase Nyako has the rest of the story in this report.
The April 2026 rate is the first uptick since December 2024. This marginal increase means the cost of living is rising a bit faster, with everyday expenses like rent, utilities, school fees, and fuel being the main reasons for the jump. Dr. Alhassan Idrisu is the government statistician.
Charcoal, rent, river fish, smoked herrings, private public secondary school fees. Just these 10 items out of 307 items, they contribute 93.1% to what? The April inflation.
While year-on-year food inflation decreased slightly to 2.2% in April, non-food inflation accelerated from 3.9% to 4.2%. On a month-on-month basis, food prices grew by 0.8%, indicating that basic consumer items remain vulnerable to supply chain pressures. The Northeast region experienced the highest inflation at 9.5%, while the Savannah region saw prices fall, recording the lowest rate at negative 3.5%. For Joy Business, Atase Nyako reports.
Two other stories. The United States government signed an agreement with the government of Ghana to help restructure debts owed the U.S. Exim Bank guarantee. According to the U.S. government, this move is timely and essential to help in the resumption of U.S. firms doing business in Ghana. It, however, won't maintain that quick progress on the outstanding debts, which is also very critical to address all concerns by U.S. businesses doing companies or doing work in the country. Two other stories. The Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiema has revealed that he is looking at working with other financial technology firms to improve lending, especially to small businesses in the country. The governor said the move has been critical due to the current traditional channels that is not helping enough to expand credit to these firms. He's been speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing 3i Africa Summit in Accra today.
Yesterday, I was looking at data in terms of the number of branches of banks across the country. I was looking at the geographical location as well. And it's clear that fintechs have a role. I mean, there are 16 regions in the country, and I saw a couple of them where number of branches are still really low. So in terms of access to finance, we cannot depend on the traditional, providers of financial services. Thankfully, technology works. Technology goes to every corner of the country. Personally, my passion is about tokenization because I'm linking it to how I can get our diaspora. We have lots of Ghanaians in the diaspora. How can I get them to invest income? Because those flows, I need them for my balance of payments. And so the last time I met with the CEOs of fintechs, I was challenging them. And I told them, we have to do this. Help me to drive invest, through tokenization.
And that is the Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiema, still on the 3i Summit. Chief Executive of MTN Mobile Money Limited, Yeboah Dame, says loan defaulters are declining, signaling improved repayment behavior by some subscribers. He says the company will step up efforts to tackle the remaining cases.
I have to also say that most of our customers do pay. So as a matter of fact, the kind of non-performing loan ratios that we see through our platforms are also very progressive, and we see it improving year on year. It also boils down to the power of data and how AI and data mining is enabling us to be able to better score customers and are able to provide them. But again, for customers who default, we just have to constantly engage them. And as I mentioned during the conversation, we've actually started a campaign which we call Responsible Borrowing Campaign, which is basically trying to connect with our customers to kind of educate them or sensitize them about the need for paying.
Chief Executive of MTN Mobile Money Limited, Yeboah Hanan. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana set to hold its first meeting for the second quarter of this year. This should also be a first meeting after the release of its 2025 financials and the recent public debate that has greeted. A notice from the Bank of Ghana showed that the three-day meeting will start on Monday, May 18 to Wednesday, but for inflation going up marginally for the month of April. One is not sure for now whether the Bank of Ghana may keep the policy rate, which currently stands at 14%, or it might move to cut it a little bit. To the stock market, 4 companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange saw their price value drop by some significant margin. One can talk about that of Cal Bank, Enterprise Group, and EcoBank Transnational Incorporated, as well as Republic Bank. And however, the share price of SIC Insurance continues to go up on the market as it ended trading today by some significant margin in terms of price. And that is all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kenneth.
Thank you very much. Let's do sports.
Yes, well, new Black Stars head coach Carlos Queiroz has named his squad for the upcoming game against Mexico later this month. The game is part of Ghana's preparations for the 2026 FIFA World Cup to be staged in Mexico, Canada, and the United States. The 23-man squad includes 6 home-based players playing their trade in the Ghana Premier League. There are also 15 players who have been invited to the national team for the first time, while the remaining 8 are returnees to the squad. Informed wingers Prince Amako Jr., who plays for Norgeland FC, and Zolte Wagram's Joseph Opoku are all included in the squad for or against the World Cup. Co-host Hearts of Oak goalkeeper Solomon Agbesi leads the new faces in the goalkeeping department, while Media's high-scoring Salim Adams has also been invited for the game. There's a return for Majid Ashimero, and Augustin Boachi is also in the squad for the first time. Moving on, the UEFA Champions League semi-final will conclude later tonight. It's the second leg between Bayern Munich and PSG. Bayern, they trail 5-4 from the first leg in France, and they will host PSG later tonight. Commentary is live on Hits 103.9 FM from 7 o'clock. That's all for sports. Back to you.
Who do you fancy to go through?
High scoring game. I think Bayern may just edge it.
Thank you very much for bringing us sports. Charles from Legon says the comments by the Greater Accra Regional Minister is regrettable, but it comes nowhere near the insults Mr. Simon Osei Mensah raised on people of northern descent. Lincoln in Akwetiman says the negligence and incompetence of some of our health workers is worrying. What happened to my wife at the mother and child hospital in Kasua before I rushed her to a private facility is a case in point. Guy Fox in Tema says, unfortunately in Ghana, the working conditions of our medical personnel, from ambulance paramedics through nurses, doctors and allied health staff, have so desensitized them to the plight of patients that it alienates them from the hypocritical nature of the activities they do. This defines the medical personnel patient relation in Ghana. Sadly, just pray Ghana does not happen to you. It may be the last thing that ever does. Those are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Thank you very much. You're still listening to Newsnight. Let's bring you more stories this evening, because a 19-year-old senior high school student named Odate Lamte is battling for his life after a police bullet allegedly ripped through his stomach during a chaotic demolition exercise at Domiabra Denchra in the South municipality. The incident occurred during a demolition reportedly led by a private developer, Frederick Kofi Asari, who, according to reports, moved into the area with police protection to pull down over 1,000 structures. But what was meant to be a demolition exercise quickly turned violent. Some family members of the victims recounted the incident.
Our brother is a calm person who does not like creating trouble. He was leaving his house when he encountered police officers who were moving along the street and firing shots. Unfortunately, he was struck in the abdomen by a bullet, and we immediately rushed him to the hospital for treatment.
So those are some of the comments from those persons who witnessed the incident. Meanwhile, we've also been hearing from the administrator of FK Ifa Community Hospital. The victim was first treated before being transferred to the University of Ghana Medical Center. Ibrahim Napsin says the boy's condition is critical, citing the severity of injuries caused by the bullet that passed through his stomach.
Patient informed by to Abuba Afanian and my Ebikura a PNH. The question will be here specialist care. Because once I
you can see that the bullet entered the patient's body through his back. We therefore contacted UGMC as he required specialized care, since we could not immediately determine which organs may have been affected.
So a boy at home modern able to manifest AIDS, stabilize the patient and my son. Transfer.
So that's the harrowing incident there. However, the municipal chief executive, Moses Kabu Okanse, told Joy News he could not confirm claims that a police bullet struck the student, adding that investigations are currently ongoing.
At time T 000022.
Patients informed them by to Abdul-Wahab Hanan and AG Godfred Yeboah Dame. Quest will be here specialist care. Because once I
You can see that the bullet entered the patient's body through his back.
Patient informed them by to Abdul-Wahab Hanan and AG Godfred Yeboah Dame. Quest will be here specialist care. Because once I
You can see that the bullet entered the patient's body through his back. We therefore contacted UGMC as he requires specialized care, since we could not immediately determine which organs may have been affected.
Still on education, multiple incidents of cheating have been recorded across some examination centers as the Basic Education Certificate Examination BEC enters day 3. Here in Accra, a set of twins and 2 others were apprehended for exchanging answer booklets and coming to the exam hall with question papers containing the answers. This happened during a monitoring visit by WAEC officials on day 3 of the exams this morning. Abdul-Wahab was with the team and reports.
The incident occurred during the first paper of the day, Integrated Science, at WAEC officials led by the council's head undertook inspection visits to selected examination centers. Among the team was Head of Public Relations John Kapi, whose attention was drawn to the unusual jittery behavior of one of the candidates. A closer inspection revealed inconsistencies in the scripts, leading to the discovery of malpractice. According to WAEC, the first pair, a set of twins, had exchanged their answer booklets during the examination. The second pair, who were classmates, were also found with each other's question paper on which answers had already been written.
There were 4 students. 2 of them were twins and they have exchanged their answer booklets, and one was writing for the other. And then the other pair, they have exchanged their question papers, and in their question papers, they've written solutions to some of the questions in them.
The WAEC boss has since indicated that the candidates could face sanctions in line with the council's regulations on examination malpractice.
So we will take it up and do further investigations, and the sanctions will be, if they are found culpable, their subjects will be cancelled. That particular subject that they were involved in, the science subject.
The development adds to growing concerns about exam integrity, even as WAEC intensifies monitoring across centers nationwide to deter malpractice and ensure a fair process for all candidates. For Joy News, Abdul-Wahab.
To the Ashanti region now, where the Kumasi regional controller of WAEC has also expressed worry over growing reports of malpractices during the BECE.
The candidates will always want to cheat, and the officials are supposed to prevent them from cheating. But the situation where you hear from there, another person calls from there, that the officials are taking money from them to help them to cheat, that's where I'm a bit worried. But because I haven't caught anyone red-handed, we are still investigating. If I could add that maybe we have tightened our security measures maybe to prevent this cheating. But the people are also becoming more sophisticated. But as I said, for now, I haven't seen any person taking money, even though I've received a lot of messages about that.
So those are some of the observations during the BECE monitoring on day 3. Samuel says, I thought Mr. Dame was once Ghana's Attorney General and Minister of Justice. I do not think he's carrying himself the way he should. He believes the rights of an accused person could be abused based on the charge. That is very unfortunate. And this one says we need to work on land administration in this country. Otherwise, it will not give us peace in Ghana in the near future. And that's it for News Night. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Don't forget to do the 2 this evening. Brush your teeth day and night with Pepsodent right after The news is strong and sassy, and Akofa is already here. I can see she's combing through her documents. And you know
what? I was actually looking for something to ask you, but I'm not going to do that. I'll just ask you just a question. Look, I wanted to know, what's that one thing that your mom has done that makes you, see her as someone who's sacrificed for you? Like, is there any particular thing you can put your mind to while you sit here?
A lot. I mean, carrying me for 9 months alone is a lot.
It's a lot. That's very true.
Women sacrifice their bodies, their time for years to raise children. That's no mean a feat. So that's what we're discussing tonight.
Yeah, we're talking about mothers. We're celebrating them, talking about all they do and how much it costs them in the process. Because I mentioned I like the fact that you talked about carrying women, carrying you alone is sacrifice. Because sometimes people don't think that carrying a baby for 9 months is such a big deal. Like, you should watch videos of how babies are coming.
You see how women's bodies transform the moment they start giving birth. That is a huge sacrifice that only a mother can do.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for having that conversation on Strong and Sassy right after this one. Don't go anywhere.